What if the outcome of a single contest changed the course of history? What if one arrow, released by one man, set in motion a chain of events that would eventually lead to the greatest war ever described in an epic? Welcome to one of the most celebrated chapters of the Mahabharata-Swayamvara Parva, where princes from across India gathered to compete for the hand of Princess Draupadi. But this is far more than a tale of romance. It is a story of destiny, hidden identities, wounded pride, impossible skill, and choices whose consequences echo through generations. Before we begin, here's a question for you. If you had to choose between unmatched talent and royal status, which would you value more? Keep that question in mind because it lies at the heart of today's story. Let us know your answer in the comments. Our story begins in the kingdom of Panchala. Its ruler, King Drupada, had long desired revenge against the great teacher Arjuna. Years earlier, Drupada had been defeated and humiliated by his former friend. Determined to change his fate, he performed a great sacrifice. From the sacred fire emerged two extraordinary children. The first was Drupada, destined to become the slayer of Karna. The second was Draupadi, a princess of extraordinary beauty, intelligence, dignity, and strength of character. Her birth was no ordinary event. It was accompanied by a heavenly voice declaring that she would play a crucial role in the destiny of kings. As Draupadi grew, news of her grace and wisdom spread throughout the land. When the time came to choose her husband, King Drupada decided that only the greatest warrior in the world would be worthy of her. So he announced a magnificent Swayamvara. Princes, kings, and renowned warriors from every corner of Bharatavarsha were invited. Among those who arrived were Duryodhana, Shakuni, Shalya, Jayadratha, and the mighty Karna, Krishna, and his elder brother Balarama also attended, not as competitors, but as honored guests eager to witness the remarkable event. Unknown to almost everyone, 5 humble Brahmins also entered the assembly hall. They were the Pandavas, still believed to have died in the fire at the house of Lac. They had been living in disguise. Only fate knew why they had come to Panchala. As the guests admired the splendid hall, their attention turned to an astonishing device suspended high above the arena. A golden fish rotated continuously on a wheel. Below it stood a large vessel filled with still water. The challenge was unlike any contest the assembled kings had ever seen. The competitor could not look directly at the fish. Instead, he had to watch only its reflection in the water below and shoot an arrow through the eye of the moving target. Strength alone would not be enough, neither would courage. Victory demanded perfect concentration, flawless technique, unwavering patience, and absolute control of the mind. Take a moment to think about it. Could you hit a target that you weren't even allowed to look at directly? Tell us in the comments whether you think you could make the shot. King Drupada's priests announced the rules, and one by one the greatest warriors stepped forward. Some could not even lift the enormous bow. Others managed to string it but completely missed the target. One after another, proud kings who had never known defeat walked away in humiliation. The audience watched in stunned silence. Was there no warrior alive capable of completing the challenge? Then Karna stepped forward. The entire hall grew quiet. Everyone knew his reputation. He was one of the greatest archers of his age. Many believed he alone possessed the skill needed to succeed. As Karna prepared to compete, Draupadi spoke words that had been discussed for centuries. She declared that she would not marry the son of a charioteer. Whether this decision reflected social custom, obedience to her father's wishes, or recognition of Karna's uncertain royal status remains one of the Mahabharata's most debated moments. Whatever the reason, Karna stepped back without attempting the challenge. Pause here for a moment. Do you think Draupadi's decision was justified according to the customs of her time? Or do you think Karna was treated unfairly? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments. Different traditions and interpretations offer different perspectives, making this one of the epic's most fascinating debates. After Karna withdrew, disappointment spread through the assembly. The challenge appeared impossible. Then, to everyone's surprise, one of the unknown Brahmins quietly stood up. The kings burst into laughter. How could an ordinary Brahmin succeed where the greatest warriors had failed? But Krishna smiled. He watched carefully. Some traditions say he immediately recognized Arjuna beneath his simple disguise. The young Brahmin walked calmly toward the bow. There was no arrogance in his steps, no display of pride, only quiet confidence. He lifted the heavy bow with ease. He strung it effortlessly. He fixed his gaze upon the reflection in the water. The entire hall seemed to hold its breath. The spinning fish continued to move overhead. The water remained perfectly still. Arjuna drew the string, released the arrow, and in a single flawless motion, the arrow pierced the eye of the rotating fish. For a brief moment, complete silence filled the hall. Then the impossible became reality. The Brahmin had succeeded. Draupadi approached him carrying the ceremonial garland. Without hesitation, she placed it around his neck. The contest was over, but the story was far from finished. Many kings were furious. How could a princess of Panchala marry an unknown Brahmin? Some believed they had been insulted. Others accused Drupada of deception. Weapons were drawn. The magnificent wedding hall suddenly became a battlefield. Bhima immediately stepped forward. Arjuna prepared for combat. Together, the disguised Pandavas defended themselves against the enraged kings. A fierce conflict erupted, but the Pandavas' extraordinary skill soon became impossible to ignore. Watching the battle unfold, Krishna smiled once again. He understood that destiny was revealing itself exactly as it had been foretold. Eventually the fighting ended. The Pandavas left the hall with Draupadi and returned to the humble home where they were staying with their mother. Kanti, standing outside, they called out with excitement, "Mother, see what we have brought today." Without looking to see what they meant, Kanti replied with words she had spoken countless times before, "Share it equally among yourselves." When she emerged and realized that her sons had brought home a bride rather than food or alms, she was shocked. Her innocent words created one of the most unusual situations in the entire Mahabharata. Should a mother's command be obeyed? Should it be withdrawn? Or had destiny spoken through her without her even knowing it? The great sage Vyasa soon arrived. He explained that this extraordinary marriage was not an accident. According to the epic, Draupadi had performed severe austerities in a previous birth and had asked Lord Shiva for a husband possessing many ideal qualities. Because she repeated her request 5 times, Shiva granted that in a future life she would have 5 husbands. The Pandavas together embodied every virtue she had desired. With the approval of sages and elders, Draupadi became the wife of all 5 Pandava brothers. Few episodes in world literature have inspired as much discussion as this one. Beyond its dramatic events, the Swayamvara Parva offers profound lessons. The contest reminds us that true excellence depends not on physical strength alone, but on focus, discipline, patience, and mastery of the mind. Arjuna wins not because he is the strongest man present, but because he combines skill with complete mental concentration. The episode also teaches us that appearances can be deceiving. The greatest warrior in the hall arrived dressed as a poor Brahmin. Those who mocked him judged only what they could see. The Mahabharata repeatedly reminds us that true worth is revealed through character and action rather than outward status. The story also invites us to reflect on destiny. How many seemingly ordinary moments shape the course of history? A contest, a garland, a mother's unthinking words. Together they transform the future of kingdoms. Now we'd love to hear your thoughts. What was the most memorable moment in the story? Was it Arjuna's impossible shot, Karna's withdrawal, Krishna's quiet recognition of the Pandavas, or Kanti's unexpected command that changed everything? Share your answer in the comments and tell us why. The Swayamvara Parva is much more than the story of a royal marriage. It is the moment when destiny gathers together the heroes of the Mahabharata and begins weaving the threads that will eventually lead to the Kurukshetra war. The bow has been drawn, the arrow has been released, and from this moment onward, the fate of Bharatavarsha can never be the same. In our next episode, we'll explore the Vaivahika Parva, where the marriage of Draupadi to the 5 Pandavas is formally celebrated. Alliances are strengthened, and the the next chapter of their extraordinary journey begins. Until then, remember this timeless lesson from the Mahabharata. The greatest victories are often won long before the decisive moment arrives through years of discipline, unwavering focus, and the courage to remain true to who you are, even when the world fails to recognize you.